Hey everyone, Tired Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully everyone's had a good Monday here. As promised, we're going to get into the Halloween forecast, especially Halloween night in particular, so make sure you smash that like button, decimate that subscribe button, because some interesting stuff is expected here. So, in case you weren't looking at that previous little screen, we are currently looking at the surface maps, and this is going to be the setup as we go into the day tomorrow. This is what we're currently looking like right now. This is going to be the catalyst for rain and snow showers, and actually some chances of some pretty considerable snow over here towards the Great Lakes even. So we head into tomorrow. Here's the low pressure. I've been kind of talking about this little setup here for a couple of days now, and here's an occluded front to go with that, along with the trough here with this low pressure. And we're just going to basically end up seeing this progress its way off to the east here slowly over the course of the next 18 hours. Hints from areas around Wisconsin, especially I think through late tonight into early tomorrow mornings when we'll see the heaviest snowfall here. And we'll see that transition a little bit further off to the north and east here. As we do go through the day tomorrow with any binaural heating, we could see this start to lose some of this wintry precipitation and get a little bit more rain involved too. So there could be areas where we see a mix of snow, but for some of us, we could actually have a rare white Halloween, which is really interesting to see during this time of year here. But as a whole, we have a pretty good little swath here where we could see some snow towards Lake Michigan, and then also diving even a little further down into areas like Illinois, Indiana, and even parts of northwestern Ohio could get into the action here. Also, a couple other things to note here is that we have a frontal boundary that's passing through around current time here across the southeast. So this is going to heavily drop off the temperatures, knock down the temperatures here, so to speak. And as a result here, we could see some areas having a 25-degree departure as far as the highs are concerned from today's highs. For example, in Atlanta, it's about 81, and we're expecting a high of about 57 tomorrow. So make sure you're dressing accordingly, because this is the kind of weather that can really compromise your immune system and get you really sick really fast. So as time goes on throughout the day tomorrow, just make sure you're layered accordingly, because the temperatures, I would expect them to actually drop off as time goes on. We'll take a look at the models and give you a better look at that, but here we are looking towards 12Z. This is first thing in the morning. Temperatures are already going to be likely towards what our highs would be for the day. Also, another thing to make note of is the fact that the winds have slowly been increasing across the southeast here throughout the day after this front is passed. So with that in mind too, this may make the weather feel even cooler than what it actually is showing on the thermostat here, or thermometer, whichever one you want to call it. So like I said, really the best way to go throughout the day tomorrow, especially across areas in the southeast, is to just basically make sure that you are dressed up accordingly. If you're staying inside, just keep an eye on that thermostat. Be ready to adjust it as needed. So that being said, let's go ahead and actually take a look at the temperatures, and then we'll get a look at the precip here. As far as severe weather is concerned, by the way, nothing to really be concerned with here. So we're just going to mainly be emphasizing temperatures. And you can already see this front very much prevalent in a very clear manner on this map here. Here's that cold front coming in. This is heading into tomorrow morning. And what we can see here clearly is a stark contrast in temperatures. This is from a little earlier today. Like I said here, those 80s towards Atlanta. And then as that front comes in, just look at how those warmer temperatures retreat heavily. And look at all that cold air that's swirling in behind this. And as a result, this is what's going to be a big catalyst for our wintry setup. You can actually even see the low-level spin here on the temperature map here, all around Indiana here and parts of Lake Michigan. So it's kind of cool, kind of crazy to see that as well. And this is also going to allot for the next couple of days after that for it to be pretty cool outside, especially over towards the Appalachia, where we could actually see below freezing temperatures. In fact, there's a nice little swath of freeze watches that's spread pretty far throughout the eastern half of the U.S. here. So Definitely need to be also watching that vegetation if you have plants outside. Just make sure you're taking the proper precautions with those as well. Take a look at those wind gusts as well, because that's going to be a big story here. Even if you don't end up seeing cooler temperatures, the wildfire threat here, the red flag warnings are still very much in effect over here towards California. And even some are prevalent here across some parts of the southeast. It's pretty dry, but it's not necessarily hot. But nonetheless, though, with low relative humidities, you can still easily get fire to start and have it spread out of control very quickly. So be careful of what you burn. That's really the message I'm trying to get across here. But as we go through the day tomorrow, even outside of where our low pressure center is over here, and where we're seeing that moderate to heavy snow possibly even over this region, we're still getting gusts up to 15 to 20 miles an hour across the south here. Then in pockets over towards California, we're getting some much higher gusts, maybe even 30 miles an hour or greater. And then as we go through the following day, we can continue to see those wind gusts starting to really increase, especially over towards the mountains, where we could see up to about 40 plus miles per hour, possibly in gusts. So the threat for wind advisories is also going to be pretty high, especially as we get in through the evening tomorrow here, and then into the 1st of November. So that being said, the weather's definitely going to be taking an interesting turn here. Last but not least, of course, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the potential for precipitation here. So we already know that there's pretty high snow chances here. Behind this front, we could see some showers, maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder, depending on where you are. But for the most part, I'm thinking it's going to be mainly scattered showers. And then over here towards the Great Lakes, of course, here's where our snow is coming into play here. See that warm air starting to mix in, especially towards the middle levels. We could see some mixture of wind-free precipitation here too. Not going to be a heavy hitting snow event. It's going to be rather light at this point. And for the most part, I wouldn't expect any follow-up coastal storm at this time. It's definitely, the storm system is definitely going to have the cold air behind it, but the moisture is going to end up outrunning it, which is usually a classic case during this time of year. So nothing major to worry about towards the northeast right now. If things do change, of course, we will get on that ASAP. But as a whole here over the next couple of days, nothing really major to be concerned with right now. Could see some. But yeah, for some of you, you actually might see a white Halloween. It's definitely not something you talk about all the time, especially over towards the northern states even. But it's not necessarily unheard of either. So I guess the next thing to do would be to go over the snowfall totals here. And if we go all the way to 60 hours out, we'll actually even do a model comparison here. I think some of these runs are going to be a little bit bold, in my honest opinion. But there's going to be a few that are a little bit more reasonable. So start out with the Euro. For the most part, this seems pretty reasonable. At maximum up to 2 inches. The further south you go, the less likely you are to see much in the way of accumulation. Maybe a couple pockets where we could see about an inch or so. We look at the GDPS as the Canadian model. A little bit more aggressive. Not surprising to see that from this model run. But I do think that that's possible over here towards northern Wisconsin. GFS is actually a little bit more scarce with the snow, but there's a couple of pockets here, especially off of Lake Michigan here, where I think that we could potentially see up to about a couple inches, maybe 3 inches. Then as we continue to go forward, here's a NAM, a little bit more aggressive. Not sure if that I concur with that. Of course, NAM 3 kilometer is a subsidiary of the NAM, just the convective version. I don't think that we'll see too many pockets of 4 inches right now. But then again, the storm, there's still some uncertainties with the storm. I'm pretty confident though that we'll see a decent little chunk here where we're getting about 2 to 4 inches. I do think that that's also going to be a little bit further to the north here. It's the British model that we're looking at. This is really aggressive. And then the new RRFSA. RRFSA looks pretty good here. There is this little pocket that this model is calling out where we could see maybe up to about 10 inches. I do think that's a little bit bold as well, but we'll have to see what happens with that. I do think also that if there's any areas that warm up enough in the middle layers of the atmosphere where we get a little bit of a wintry mix of the rain, this could also hamper the snowfall totals as well. So this is still pretty variable at this time. But for the most part, I wouldn't be surprised to see an area where we could see up to about maybe inch, 2 inches of snow across a large part of Wisconsin and into Michigan here. So here we are looking at the National Weather Service blender models. It's a good model. This is a one of my favorite models to look at for snowfall. This kind of gives a happy medium of all the model data that we have available at our disposal here. But with the blend of models, it's interesting to see that they have this little pocket right here where we could even see up to 5 inches just off the lakes. Not surprising to see that. And I'm concurrent. I'm definitely in agreement with the this look over here towards northern Wisconsin. Definitely seems like one of the areas that would be a bullseye, so to speak. And then a couple pockets where we get up to about 1 inch over towards Indiana, maybe also some parts of northern Illinois as well. Ohio looks like they're going to end up staying on getting the short end of the stick here as far as accumulation is concerned, which could be good or bad depending on your perspective. But that being said, that's pretty much what we're looking like for Halloween here. Down the line, the weather patterns getting more active, so stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You found it useful. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button, decimate that subscribe button, obliterate that share button, and also make sure that you have the bell on for every video, because it looks like we're going to be getting pretty busy here in due time. But that's all I got for you. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and take care. Have a good night. Happy Halloween.